will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day.
Episode 14, The Quiet Ones, content warning and disclaimer. Hey, before we get into it, we just want to make something clear.
Yeah, this podcast isn't professional advice. We're not doctors, therapists, or mental health experts.
We're just two mates having honest conversations, sharing my story, my experiences, and what's helped me survive things like PTSD, anxiety, depression, grief, and a whole lot of chaos in between.
What works for one person might not work for another. So please take what you need, leave the rest, and always reach out to a professional if you need that extra support.
This is real life, it's raw, it's mine, and we're just here to make sure no one feels like they're walking through the dark alone. Before we even dive into anything today, I need to be honest, I took a break. And not the kind where you sit on a beach with a cold drink and pretend the world's fine. This was the kind of break where you vanish into your own head for a while because the noise got too loud or maybe too quiet. Margaret wrote to me again. That second email didn't just land in my inbox, it landed straight in my chest. When she said, "I miss being seen as a little girl," I swear it echoed something I didn't even realize I'd buried. I remember being that kid, hiding under a blanket in the dark, crying, not because I was scared of monsters, but because I already felt forgotten by the people who were supposed to see me. So I stepped away, because I had to. And if I'm being totally honest, I didn't know if I'd come back. But here I am, still standing, still stuttering my way through healing. And if you're listening right now, I want you to know this. I didn't come back because I'm better. I came back because I'm honest. And silence, real silence, doesn't always heal. Sometimes it just builds pressure until you break.
Mate, welcome back. I'm proud of you. I know how much that second email cracked something open in you. And I'm not just talking about sadness. I mean the kind of grief that's been waiting quietly in the corners for decades. And the fact that you felt it instead of running from it, that's massive. Most people avoid that kind of pain for a lifetime. You took space when you needed it. You let us, me and Patrick, hold the mic while you caught your breath. And now you're back, not because the storm's passed, but because you decided to speak anyway. That's the whole heart of this podcast. It's not about tidy endings. It's about being real.
That's it, hey. It wasn't pretty. I had days where I just sat on the edge of my bed and stared, not thinking, not moving, just existing. I was scared of my own thoughts, mate. I'd lie there and feel the weight of being unseen, not just now, but as a kid, like I'd slipped back into that skin, and every little memory being ignored, being passed over, it all came flooding in. But somewhere in there, I remembered something you said once. You don't have to be okay to show up. You just have to be willing. So here I am, wobbly, but willing.
And that, mate, is where the magic is. You came back with cracked edges and all. And that silence you talked about, it's not just yours anymore. You've made space for everyone who's ever sat in a dark room and wondered if they mattered. That silence now has a voice, and it's yours.
God, that hit me hard. Thanks, brother. And listen, I know this is a heavy way to open a podcast, but this episode, it's going to be about those people, the quiet ones, the ones like me, like Margaret, like the kid I used to be. We're going to talk about silence, about masks, about the voices in our heads, especially Bob the Botherer, who's still somehow living rent-free in mine, and about what happens when you choose to speak anyway. But before we go any further, let me just say, I missed this. I missed you, and I missed laughing in between the wreckage.
Then let's do both today. Cry a little, laugh a lot, and keep it raw. And for the record, I've missed you too. Even Bob, that sarcastic little pest.
He's been waiting to perform again. He told me he wanted to renegotiate his contract, said he wants dental. I told him he's lucky I haven't evicted him with a pressure washer.
If Bob wants dental, tell him he better start flossing his attitude.
Mate, if my anxiety had teeth, I reckon it'd be one of those chihuahuas that bites first and asks questions later.
Well, then, let's muzzle the mutt and get into it. The quiet ones are listening.
You know what's weird, mate? It wasn't even the words in Margaret's email that broke me. It was the feeling behind them, that quiet ache, that whisper underneath. I miss being seen. And it hit me. I don't just relate to that. I am that. That line. I felt like someone had finally put language to a scream I've been holding inside since I was 5. I spent so much of my childhood being invisible, not like no one notices me in the crowd, invisible, but the kind where the people who are meant to see you, your parents, your family, they look right through you, or worse, they only see the version of you they've decided they can tolerate.
God, man, that's powerful. And it's real. That kind of invisibility isn't passive, it's painful. It's like being erased slowly over time. Every time they ignore your voice or prioritize someone else or pretend your needs are too much, it chips away at you. You stop trying to be seen because it hurts too much when you're not.
Exactly. You start thinking, if I just stay quiet, maybe I won't disappoint them. If I make less noise, maybe they'll stop getting angry. If I disappear a little more, maybe that's when they'll finally notice I'm gone. And then one day you wake up and you've trained yourself to be small, to take up less space, to live inside your own head instead of in the world. I reckon that's why silence feels so familiar to me, because I grew up in it, but it wasn't peaceful. It was sharp. It echoed.
You ever think that's why you're so open now? I mean, you're raw, you're honest, and you've turned this podcast into a spotlight for stories like yours and Margaret's. Do you think part of that is you trying to rewrite that story? Trying to be the person you needed back then?
Absolutely. That's the whole heartbeat of it. This show isn't just me telling my story, it's me refusing to go back to being invisible. Every episode is me saying, I exist, I matter, I feel. And if there's one other person out there sitting in their room at 2 a.m., staring at the wall, wondering if anyone would notice if they just stopped showing up, I want them to hear this and think, wait, maybe someone does get it. Because I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have someone say, hey, mate, I see you, I hear you, you're allowed to hurt. I had silence, I had tension. I had adults too busy fighting each other to notice a kid crumbling in the corner.
Mate, that image, I can see it. I can picture you, little you, trying to hold it together. Maybe even being told you're the problem because you had feelings that made other people uncomfortable. That's the gut punch of it, isn't it? That kids are expected to manage the emotional failings of the adults around them.
Yep. And you end up with this twisted emotional math in your head like, if mum left and never came back, that must mean I wasn't worth staying for. If dad worked every hour God sent but couldn't find 5 minutes to talk to me, maybe I didn't matter. If my sisters got all the hugs and praise, maybe love just wasn't meant for me. And that's the echo Margaret tapped into, the one I thought I'd buried.
And when that echo gets triggered, it's not just emotional, it's physical. Your body remembers what your mind tried to forget.
Exactly. I felt it in my chest. I couldn't breathe properly for 2 days. I kept looking at the door like someone was going to walk in and tell me I was broken again. And I had this weird thing where I kept tucking my arms in, like I was trying to shrink to go back to being small. That's the power of those early wounds. They don't just hurt, they haunt.
It's trauma, man. That's the word. And not the overused version people toss around. I mean, real trauma. The kind that gets etched into your nervous system and plays on loop unless you interrupt it.
That's why I needed to come back. Not because I'm fixed, I'm not, but because I realized silence was winning again. I was slipping back into the old skin, the one that told me I was too much, too broken, too invisible. And I've worked way too hard to let that version take over again.
So now what? What does being seen look like for you today, as the man you are now?
It looks like this. It looks like sitting in front of this mic and saying what scared me. It looks like telling Margaret and every other quiet one out there, you're not invisible, you're important. And even if the people who were supposed to love you didn't, that doesn't make you unlovable. And you know what? It also looks like letting myself be loved. That's still the hardest bit. Letting someone in, not running when kindness shows up, because part of me still thinks it's a trick.
That's the long game, mate. Rewiring that belief. And look, every time you speak up like this, you are rewriting the story, not just for yourself, but for everyone listening, especially the ones who grew up feeling invisible.
Yeah. And if they're anything like me, they've spent their lives searching for signs that they're real, that they exist outside the pain. So if this podcast can be that sign, even just for a moment, then maybe my silence wasn't wasted. Maybe it's just the ground that this voice grew from.
And that, mate, is poetry and power.
Don't get used to it. Next segment, we're talking about Bob the Botherer again. And trust me, he's less poetry and more passive aggressive possum in my skull.
Possum? That's generous. He's more like that one uncle at Christmas who drinks all the beer, insults your haircut, and then says, "I was just being honest."
Mate, now I've got to rewrite Bob as Uncle Terry. Thanks for that.
Anytime. Let's crack him open next. The quiet ones have met the echo. Now it's time to meet the voice that won't shut up.
You know what I realised during the break, mate? I've spent a lifetime being a bloody brilliant actor. And I don't mean stage stuff. I mean the day-to-day performance of pretending I'm okay. That mask we wear, and the one we glue on with fake smiles, polite nods, and yeah, I'm good responses when someone asks how we're doing. But during the break, I couldn't even find the mask. It was like it fell off somewhere and I didn't have the energy to pick it back up. And for a while, that scared me because the mask had become me.
That's the thing no one tells you, right? You wear that mask long enough, it stops being a disguise and starts being an identity. You forget where it ends and you begin. And when it finally slips or breaks, it's bloody terrifying because suddenly you're exposed, raw, and worse, you realize just how long you've been hiding.
Exactly. And it's not even about lying to others most of the time. It's lying to yourself. I'd convinced myself I was fine because things looked fine from the outside. Podcast ticking along, artwork coming out, website clean. But inside, I felt hollow, like I was doing all the things, but feeling none of it. It's like I kept showing up to the role, but the actor had gone home.
Mate, that is so real. And I think so many people listening are going to nod their heads at that. Because this isn't just about depression or anxiety, it's about expectation. We get told to be strong, to power through, to smile, especially as blokes. We're not taught to feel, we're taught to fix. And when we can't fix what's going on inside, we just shove it down, paint over it, and say, "She'll be right."
Yeah, well, she wasn't bloody right, and neither was I. And what Margaret's email did was rip the paint off. It didn't matter how many new designs I was dropping or how often I posted on socials. The truth is, I felt like a ghost wearing my own skin. So I did something radical for me. I stopped pretending, didn't answer messages, didn't put on the I'm okay voice, didn't even brush my hair some days. I just was.
And that, mate, is massive. Because dropping the mask isn't weak. It's one of the bravest bloody things you can do. You risk people not knowing how to respond. You risk being misunderstood. But in return, you get realness. You get breath. And you get to look at yourself and say, "All right, this is me. No costume, no character, just me."
You know the wildest part? No one really noticed, not because they don't care, but because I've trained the world to expect the mask. I've trained people to believe the version of me that smiles and makes jokes and pushes through. So when I go quiet, they don't know what to do with that. They think, oh, he must be busy or he'll bounce back. But inside, I'm screaming, I'm drowning.
Mate, that hurts to hear because it's the truth for so many. We teach people how to treat us. And when we're the strong ones, the funny ones, the ones who always have a story or a quote or a song lyric ready, they forget that we're also human, that we bleed under the jokes, that the laughter sometimes hides the sob.
God, that line. We bleed under the jokes. That's it. That's the episode right there. I mean, I love making people laugh. I need it. It's part of my DNA now. But sometimes it's also a defense mechanism. Like, if I can make you laugh, maybe you won't ask why I haven't slept in 3 days. If I crack a joke about Bob, maybe you won't see that I had a panic attack just trying to put petrol in the car.
It's like we weaponize humor, not to hurt others, but to protect ourselves. And hey, sometimes it works. Sometimes it is the thing that gets us through. But other times, it's the mask. And sooner or later, even the strongest mask cracks.
Mine cracked the night I mowed the lawn with a torch strapped to the front. That wasn't me being quirky. That was me losing the plot quietly. That was me trying to scrape the pain out of my chest using motion. And when that boy and his dad saw me and asked if I was okay, I didn't lie. I told the truth. And in that moment, I realized maybe the mask slipping isn't a breakdown. Maybe it's a breakthrough.
Say it louder, because that's the shift, mate. The world teaches us that if the mask slips, we've failed. But maybe that's when the healing starts.
And maybe that's when we start to see each other, really see each other, because I don't want people to fall in love with the mask anymore. I want them to love the person underneath. Messy, flawed, anxious, loyal, heart too big for his own good me.
And that's who we're here for. The listeners who are starting to question their own masks. The ones who are cracking and scared and wondering if they're still lovable once the glue peels away.
You are. You always were. And if you've lost your mask lately, maybe don't panic. Maybe it means you're finally coming back to yourself. Welcome home.
Now that's a quote for the fridge, right under Bob wants dental.
Don't bring Bob into this. He's union now. Said he wants a window office in my frontal lobe.
Tell him if he wants an office, he can pay rent in serotonin.
Mate, if Bob ever starts paying rent, I'm retiring. So let's talk about Bob. Yep, he's still here. Like that one mate who never gets the hint to go home after a BBQ. It's 2 a.m, the snacks are gone, the lights are off, and Bob's still on your couch asking if you've ever really thought about why your knees click. Bob's what I call my anxiety, the little voice that pipes up whenever I'm trying to do something simple, like go to the shops, or start the car, or relax for 5 bloody seconds. And I gave him a name because, honestly, it made him easier to handle, made it feel like he wasn't me. He was just a really annoying, uninvited tenant.
I love that. Giving anxiety a name turns it into something you can talk to, instead of something that talks over you. And let's be real, Bob is kind of an icon at this point. But in all seriousness, that's a powerful shift. You took this heavy, overwhelming thing and turned it into something you can actually interact with. Not control, maybe, but coexist with.
Exactly. I tried fighting Bob for years, told him to bugger off, shouted at him inside my head, ignored him. But all that did was make him shout louder. So I started doing something different. I started using what I call the 3 L's.
Here we go. Trademark time. Hit us with it.
All right, the 3 L's. Listen, limit, learn. Step 1, listen. When Bob shows up, I don't slam the door in his face anymore. I let him talk, but only for a minute. I hear what he's saying, not because he's right, but because ignoring him never worked. Step 2, limit. I set boundaries. I tell Bob, you can speak, but you don't get to run the show. Like giving a toddler a toy steering wheel in the back seat. Step 3, learn. I ask myself, what's this about? What's the trigger? Is there something useful here, or is this just Bob being dramatic? It's not perfect, but it's helped me stop spiraling.
Mate, that's brilliant and relatable as hell, because a lot of people either fight anxiety like it's a monster, or they let it run wild like a toddler with a credit card. You're saying, acknowledge it, but don't obey it. That's powerful.
And sometimes Bob tries new tricks. Like the other night, I'm walking to the servo, right? Normal night, chill. But halfway there, Bob pops up like, hey mate, did you lock the door? What if someone's in the house right now? What if they steal your anxiety toolkit and leave a note saying you need a better therapist? I stopped. My jaw clenched. Gut twisted. That old familiar grip. I nearly turned around, but then I said out loud, yep, in the middle of the street like a nutter, Bob, I checked the door 3 bloody times. Sit down. And I kept walking. My heart didn't magically stop racing, but I didn't go back. And that, for me, that's a win.
That's huge, because that's what recovery looks like. Not perfection, but persistence. You still felt it, but you didn't let it control your actions. That's what people need to hear. It's not about having no fear. It's about walking anyway.
Exactly. And it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's sneaky. Like I'll be sitting on the couch, comfy as anything, and Bob leans in, all casual, like, Hey champ, do you reckon that pain in your chest is just gas or are we dying today? And suddenly I'm Googling symptoms I've already Googled 400 times. I'm not kidding. I've diagnosed myself with at least 8 terminal conditions in the past month. One of them was from a fish website.
That's the anxiety rabbit hole, mate. One minute you're watching telly, the next you're convinced you've got tropical shrimp disease and your time is up.
I once convinced myself I had a blood clot because my leg felt weird. Turned out I just sat cross legged too long and cut off circulation. Bob had me writing a will by lunch.
It's funny, but it's also bloody exhausting, that constant second guessing. And from the outside, no one sees it. They just think, oh, he's quiet today. They don't realize you're fighting a mental UFC match with a voice that knows all your weaknesses.
Exactly. Bob doesn't fight fair. He doesn't throw punches. He whispers. He's subtle. What if they all leave? What if you're too much? What if this feeling never goes away? And that's why I keep sharing this stuff. Because if someone out there is sitting in their car right now, hands on the wheel, chest tight, heart racing, thinking they're the only one who hears that voice, I want them to know you're not alone. Bob's universal, but so is strength.
And so is humor, and resilience, and stubbornness, and all the weird little tools we build to survive.
Mate, half my survival toolkit looks like it came from a Bunnings clearance bin. But it works. Naming Bob, using the 3 Ls, saying things out loud, even if I sound a little crazy. That's how I stay in the driver's seat.
So, what do you say to someone who's just meeting their own Bob for the first time?
I'd say this: he's loud, but he's not truth. He's familiar, but he's not your friend. And he doesn't get to write your story. You do. So give him a name, give him a chair, but don't you dare give him the steering wheel.
Boom. Put that on a shirt, or a mug, or Bob's eviction notice.
I'm working on Bob branded merchandise. First item, noise cancelling earplugs and a do not disturb hoodie.
You're kidding, but I'd buy that.
One day, mate. But right now, let's keep showing up, one step at a time, one voice louder than the whispers, and that voice is ours. You ever have those days where everything's fine until it's not? You're walking along, sun's on your back, headphones in, feeling kind of all right. Not amazing, but balanced, like, yeah, I can handle today. And then, boom, supermarket doors open, and suddenly it's like walking into a bloody battlefield. No warning, no trigger you can name, just bang. Your brain flips the switch and anxiety rushes in like it's been training for this moment. That's me. That's my Woolies experience. And I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not.
Mate, it's wild how fast it hits, and how invisible it is to everyone else. They see a guy grabbing a trolley, maybe looking at the specials board, and they have no idea that inside your chest there's a full-blown panic orchestra tuning up.
Exactly. They don't see the internal monologue, screaming, too many people. What if I drop something? What if I freeze up in front of the fridge section and someone thinks I'm on something? And that's the part that kills me, the invisibility of it. You look calm, you look like every other shopper, but inside it's war.
And it's not even the big stuff that triggers it, right? It's the little things, the lights, the echo of trolley wheels, the loudspeaker suddenly announcing there's a cleanup in aisle 5 and your nervous system goes, cool, that's it, we're dying now.
That's it. It's sensory overload. And the worst part, you feel ridiculous for feeling it. You're like, mate, you're just buying bread. Pull yourself together. But your body doesn't care. It reacts like someone pulled a fire alarm in your brain.
So, what do? What's the move when Bob starts running laps through your skull and your hands start shaking near the frozen peas?
I pull out my phone. Not to call anyone. I'm not up for human contact in those moments. I start writing, logging. Not thoughts, just observations. Lady with red scarf, kid in Spider-Man shoes. Checkout 4 has a blinking light. I treat the environment like a detective scene. It's grounding. It gives my brain a job that isn't spiraling. It replaces panic with pattern.
Mate, that's so clever. It's mindfulness without candles and wind chimes. You're basically building a bridge back to the present moment, using what's right in front of you.
Exactly. I used to think grounding had to be this perfect ritual, soft music, quiet room, incense burning like I'm summoning a spirit guide. But real life doesn't work like that. Sometimes grounding happens in aisle three, sometimes it's noisy, messy, fluorescent, and the magic isn't in the setting, it's in the choice to stay, the choice to breathe, the choice to stay here instead of running.
And I reckon that'll hit home for a lot of people, because so many of us wait for the perfect moment to do the work. But life isn't made of perfect moments. It's made of messy, in between, everyday chaos. And choosing presence there, that's the real work.
Yeah. And you know what? Most of the time I make it through the shop just fine, but no one sees what it cost me. They just see me walking out with my bags looking like every other bloke who popped in for milk. But I know the truth. That milk cost me more than $3.60. It cost me energy, courage, and every strategy I've ever learned.
That's the hidden tax of anxiety, mate. The mental gymnastics, the internal negotiations, and you're still walking through the fire. That's bloody strength.
Thanks, man. I think it's important people know it's okay if that trip to the shops feels like Everest. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means your brain's doing its thing and you're doing your thing to get through it. And if that means writing a list of strangers' shoes and scarves on your phone like a borderline stalker, so be it.
Just maybe don't do it near the toys section, or security's going to start asking questions.
Mate, if I ever get pulled aside and they go, "What's this list, sir?" and I say, "Oh, that's just how I fight my invisible monster," I reckon I'll either get arrested or offered a podcast deal.
Let's aim for the podcast deal.
Always. And to anyone listening who knows exactly what I'm talking about, the war in aisle three, the chest tightening for no reason, the moment you want to leave your trolley and just walk out, I see you. And if you make it to the checkout, even with sweaty hands, racing heart, and shaky breath, you didn't just shop, you won.
Every small win matters. Every fight no one else sees, that's your quiet strength.
And those are the moments that build resilience, not loud ones, not dramatic, just quiet defiance in fluorescent light. All right, now that we've made it through the shops, it's time to get weird, because next up, we're mowing lawns at midnight.
That's right. Stay tuned. It gets chaotic, and a bit beautiful, and possibly illegal.
What can I say? Healing looks strange under moonlight. Some nights you don't want to feel anything, and other nights you feel too much. This night was the second kind, no warning, no clear reason, just this heavy hum buzzing under my skin, that jittery, anxious itch you can't scratch. I tried lying down, tried a movie, even tried reading the back of a shampoo bottle. Nothing worked. So I grabbed a piece of cardboard and started scraping the carpet, not because it needed cleaning, just because I needed something for my hands to do while my heart raced for no reason. And then I looked out the window, saw the lawn, and it was like my brain went, "Well, guess what, champ? We're mowing now."
At night, with a torch strapped to the mower. Mate, you have no idea how proud I am of this moment already.
Oh, it gets better. I zip-tied a torch to the front, threw on my hoodie, pulled the mower out at 7:30 at night, and I didn't stop until just after midnight. The moon was up, the street was mostly quiet, and there I was, muttering to myself, sweating, pacing up and down the lawn like a man on a mission no one asked for. But here's the thing, it worked, not to fix me, not to erase the pain, but to move it, to move through it.
That's the key right there. Movement isn't about running away, it's about survival. And sometimes the only way out of your own head is through your feet.
Exactly. And the world will tell you healing looks like yoga mats and perfect journals. But healing, real, messy, midnight healing, sometimes looks like mowing the bloody lawn with a flashlight because you don't know what else to do. And here's where it gets wild. About halfway through, I see a police officer and a young teenage boy walking past. I must have looked like a lunatic, covered in sweat, middle of the night, muttering to the lawn. I thought, right, here we go, I'm getting sectioned. But they stopped. The officer looked at me and just asked, "You all right, mate?" And I paused, thought about lying, then I didn't. I said, "Honestly, Not really, but I'm trying.
God, I felt that just, I'm trying. No mask, no performance, just truth.
Yeah. And what happened next? That changed something in me. The boy, probably 13, maybe 14, looks up at me and says, I get anxious too. Sometimes I don't even know why. And just like that, it wasn't about mowing anymore. It wasn't about the grass. It was about connection. We stood there, me with a mower, him in his hoodie, just talking. I told him about Bob, told him about the three L's, and his face changed. He got it. You could see it.
Mate, that's incredible. That's what I call a divine interruption. You didn't plan that moment. You didn't prep it. You were the moment. Just by showing up as yourself, messy, open, hurting, you gave that kid something no therapist could have packaged in 50 sessions.
And it wasn't some grand speech. I wasn't standing there delivering wisdom from a pedestal. I was literally in thongs with grass stuck to my shins, talking about anxiety to a stranger's son. And somehow it felt sacred, like the universe went, You showed up. So now here's someone who needs that.
You turned your breakdown into someone else's breakthrough. That's the kind of ripple effect we never see coming. But when it lands, it changes everything.
And it made me think maybe the weird, broken, what the hell am I even doing? Moments aren't glitches. Maybe they're doorways. Maybe healing doesn't always happen in silence. Maybe sometimes it happens in headlights under moonlight between strangers.
Mate, that's poetry. That's truth. That's the stuff we live for.
And that's why I keep showing up, even when I feel like a wreck, because some kid out there is waiting to hear that he's not broken, that he's just feeling things too deeply for a world that's too quiet about it.
And because healing doesn't always look like candles and calm playlists. Sometimes it looks like grass clippings and torch batteries.
I still think the neighbours think I've lost it.
If they knew what really happened that night, I reckon they'd mow in the moonlight too.
Maybe that's the next shirt. Mow your mind back into place.
I'd wear that. And we'll add a little flashlight logo for dramatic effect.
Done. But for now, I'll settle for knowing that for one night I didn't just survive, I connected. And maybe that's the whole point. You know what phrase makes me grit my teeth? Time heals all wounds. Nah, it doesn't. Time just passes. That's it. It stacks days on top of each other like bricks. And if you're not careful, you wake up one day buried under a wall you never meant to build. People say it like it's comforting. But when you've lived through real trauma, time's not a healer and it's a reminder, a looping echo.
It's one of those things people say when they don't know what else to say. Like, give it time. You'll feel better eventually. But it misses the point. Because if time was the fix, we'd all be healed by now. You'd hit a calendar milestone and boom, grief gone, pain resolved. But that's not how it works. Trauma doesn't respect clocks.
Exactly. You ever been doing something completely ordinary like washing dishes and suddenly your body hijacks you? You're not 40 anymore. You're 6. You're not in your kitchen. You're back in that room, that smell, that feeling. The floodgates open and time collapses. And that's when I started thinking, maybe Einstein was onto something. He said time is an illusion, that there's no real past, present, or future. It's all part of the same loop. And when you've lived with trauma, you feel that. You don't remember it like a movie. You relive it like it's happening now.
Yeah. Time doesn't line up cleanly when you've been hurt. It folds in on itself. You might be decades away from something, but one word, one sound, one scent, and boom, you're there. That's what trauma does. It doesn't age with you. It waits. It loops. It hides in the back of your skull until you're vulnerable enough to feel it again.
Exactly. And that's why waiting for time to fix it is dangerous. You can't wait it out. You have to interrupt the loop. You've got to stick your hand in the wheel and say, not today. It doesn't mean the pain disappears, but it means you take your power back.
That's the work, right? Interrupting the automatic response. Noticing the pattern. Saying, this might have been my reaction for 20 years, but I get to choose something different today.
It's exhausting, man. Some days my wins are tiny, like I brushed my teeth today even though my head was screaming not to move. Or I replied to one text instead of ghosting everyone. It doesn't look heroic. It doesn't sound inspirational. but it's bloody hard. And I think that counts more than we give credit for.
That's what healing actually is, those tiny, stubborn decisions. It's not the Instagram quote or the inspirational sunrise post. It's the decision to get up again, to not let the loop pull you under.
And that's why I started this podcast in the first place. Not because I had all the answers, not because I was fixed, but because I was in the loop and I wanted to shine a torch in it. I wanted to say, hey, I'm in here too. Let's find a way out together.
And the way out. It's never through time. It's through choice, action. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's just movement. Sometimes it's mowing the lawn at midnight.
Yeah, or telling Bob to shove it while you're trying to buy bananas, or crying on the floor of your room and still turning up to record the next episode. Those aren't breakdowns, those are breakthroughs. Those are the moments where the loop cracks just a little. And that little crack, that's how light gets in.
So, what would you say to someone who's still stuck, still waiting for time to make it better?
I'd say this: time won't save you, you will. With every breath you take when you don't want to, with every tear you cry that no one sees, with every tiny choice that says, I'm not giving up today. Healing isn't passive, it's intentional, and you don't have to do it perfectly, just honestly.
Mate, that right there is church. That's gospel. That's truth.
It's lived truth, and the more I talk about it, the less power the loop has over me. So yeah, time doesn't heal, but I do, and so can you.
Let's take a breath on that, because that hit deep. Next up, we're going even deeper into the footprints we leave behind and what happens when we finally decide to walk forward.
Bring the tissues, it's about to get spiritual and probably a little dusty in the eye department. So I lost this poem during the 2018 floods. It was a rewritten version of Footprints in the Sand, not the one everyone knows. Mine was different, personal, something I clung to when everything else felt like it was falling apart. The original version's about someone walking with God and noticing only one set of footprints during the hardest times in their life. And they ask, where were you? But mine flips it. In mine, I'm walking along the beach with the Lord, and I look down and ask, why is there only one set of footprints? And the Lord says, I'm not the one looking forward. You've already been back there. There's only one way to go, and that's forward. And that line, you've already been back there. It stayed with me through every breakdown, every dark night, every silent morning, because it reminds me we're not meant to walk backward. We're meant to walk through, to keep going.
Mate, I've got chills. That rewrite hits on such a deep level, especially for people who've been through real, bone-deep pain. Because the truth is, we can't go back. We can revisit, remember, reflect, but we can't relive or rewrite the past. What we can do is keep walking. And that image, that there's only one way to go, forward, it's powerful, especially for the people still sitting in their grief, unsure if moving on means letting go of love.
Exactly. Moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean I don't love the people I've lost. It doesn't mean I don't carry the scars. It just means I choose to keep living, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Because those footprints, they don't disappear when the tide comes in, they just fade. But the impact, the proof you walked that path, it's in you.
And when you're deep in pain, it can feel like you're walking in circles. But moments like this remind us, you've come further than you think. It's easy to forget that when all you see is where you've been. But every quiet decision, every step, leaves a mark, even if no one else sees it.
Yeah. And when I look back, sometimes all I see are the bruises, losing my partner, losing my home in the floods, 17 years apart from my daughter. Those memories carry weight. And some days I feel them dragging at my heels like chains. But other days I remember different things. A picnic in Townsville, the clouds parting just long enough to let the sunlight fall across her face, her laughing at something dumb I said, that one perfect second where everything felt okay. Those are the footprints I want to hold on to.
That's the shift, isn't it? From only remembering the pain to choosing to also remember the joy. Even if it hurts, even if it makes you cry, because the joy proves you lived.
And I think that's what grief does to us. Like, it tries to trick us into believing the only real thing was the pain, but it wasn't. The laughter was real too. The love, the light, the quiet moments where someone looked at you and saw your soul. And just because it ended doesn't mean it wasn't beautiful.
Mate, this is everything. And I hope the people listening right now, especially the ones sitting in their own storm, can take this in. You don't have to erase your past. You just have to walk forward with it.
And every step, even the shaky ones, they matter. They leave footprints, proof that we're still here, proof that we're still moving, proof that the story isn't over. So if you're out there right now thinking you've been standing still, maybe just take one small step, breathe, blink, move. Even if you don't know where you're going yet, forward is still a direction.
And we're walking with you, footprint by footprint.
All right, deep breath, because next we're talking about love, the kind that stays and the kind that never showed up.
Oh boy, get the tissues and maybe a mop for my feelings.
And maybe a Keith Urban song. You know what's coming. You ever feel like your heart is overflowing, but your arms are empty? Like you've got all this love built up inside, not just romantic, but protective, warm, stupid, generous love, and nowhere to put it? That's me. Most nights I'll be sitting in the dark, not doing anything in particular, and I'll just feel it, that ache. It's not loud, it's not desperate, it's just persistent, like a quiet knocking in the chest that says, I wish I had someone to love.
Mate, that right there, that's the line that wrecks people. Because it's not about loneliness in the cliche sense. It's about longing to be known, to be seen without needing to explain ourselves, to have someone look at you, mess and all, and just say, I know, and I'm still here.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's not about wanting anyone. It's about wanting someone who gets it, who doesn't flinch at the darkness, who doesn't try to fix me, someone who can sit in the silence with me and not panic. I was listening to Keith Urban's version of To Love Somebody the other night, and mate, it felt like he'd crawled inside my ribcage with a guitar and a memory. That line, you don't know what it's like to love somebody the way I love you, it knocked me flat, because I do know what that's like, to love hard, to love fully, to give everything you have, even when it's not returned.
And I think a lot of people feel that, but they're scared to admit it, because we're taught that longing is weakness, that wanting connection makes us needy, but it's not. It's human. And when you've been through trauma, when you've lost people, when you've been unseen for too long, that longing becomes part of your DNA.
Yeah. And the worst part isn't when love leaves, it's when it stays halfway, when they're in the room but miles away emotionally, when their body's next to you but their heart's already packed its bags. That hollowness, that silence between two people who used to feel everything, that's the kind of loneliness that really guts you.
Mate, you're talking about ghosting while still present. It's brutal, and it's confusing. Because how do you grieve someone who's still there? How do you fight for connection when the other person's already gone? Emotionally, spiritually, maybe even mentally checked out?
You can't. You end up twisting yourself inside out to be lovable enough, safe enough, easy enough. You shrink, you bend, you apologize for existing too loudly, until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize who you've become. That's why I had to stop begging, not just with other people, but with myself. I had to stop begging to be loved by someone who couldn't see me and start remembering that I have worth, even when no one's holding me.
That's not just healing, that's reclamation. And I reckon someone listening right now is crying quietly because you just put words to something they couldn't explain. The ache of being full of love and having no place to pour it.
And that's the killer, hey. I know I have so much love to give. I want to make someone feel safe, seen, bloody cherished. I want to be the arms someone runs into at the end of a hard day. I want to cook too much food, laugh at dumb jokes, hold them when they cry. But right now, all I've got is the echo of that dream. So I pour the love into other places, into this mic, into late night texts to mates who need to hear they matter, into strangers I'll never meet who might be clinging to this podcast like a life raft.
And that's love too. That's not a consolation prize. That's sacred. because it means your love isn't conditional. It means it doesn't die just because the relationship ended.
Yeah, it means even if I never find that person who holds me like I hold others, I can still be love. And maybe, just maybe, being that kind of love in a world that's forgotten how to give it is enough for now.
It's more than enough. It's healing in motion. And when the right person shows up, the one who sees you, not just the mask, they'll already know how loved they're about to be because you've been practicing for years.
Yeah, and until then, I'll keep loving people in the quiet, loving without demand, loving without needing it to come back. Because that's who I am. Not broken, not too much, just wired for connection. There's a reason Home by Blake Shelton wrecks me every time. It's not just the melody, it's the truth buried in that one lyric. Maybe surrounded by a million people, I still feel all alone. God, that line. I've lived it. Rooms full of people, laughter, music, noise, and I'm just floating. Not part of it, not in it, just next to it.
Yeah, man. That's what loneliness really looks like. It's not just being alone, it's being unseen in a crowd. It's that gut-deep feeling of, even if I screamed right now, no one would hear what I'm actually saying.
Exactly. And I realized something over the years. Home isn't a place. It's not four walls and a fridge. It's a feeling. It's the sigh you let out when you know you're safe. It's the way someone says your name when they really see you. It's not about being perfect. It's about being known. And for a long time, I didn't have that. I had spaces I lived in, but no place that felt like me.
You know what hit me just now? Home is where you don't have to explain your silences, where you can walk in, take off your mask, drop the performance, and someone just nods and goes, "Long day?" And you don't even need to speak. That's home.
Mate, that just gave me chills. That's what I miss the most. Not the big gestures, not the passion or the flowers or the candlelit anything. It's the little stuff. The cup of tea, waiting without asking. The "you okay?" whispered at the exact right moment. The space to be a mess without feeling like a burden. And when I lost that, when I lost her, I didn't just lose a relationship. I lost home.
And you've been building something ever since. Maybe not with bricks, but with words, with this podcast, with the way you speak to people who've never been told you matter. This space, right here, feels like home to a lot of people.
That's the dream, hey. If I can't come home to someone at the end of the day, then maybe I can be that voice for someone else. The one that says, "You're not too much, you're not too broken, you're still welcome here." Because I remember what it felt like to go searching for a place to land, for a place to breathe. And I know what it's like to only find silence.
So you made your own sound. You filled the silence with story. You built a home out of truth, even when it hurt, even when no one clapped. And I reckon there's a few people listening right now, headphones in, lights off, maybe crying a bit, thinking, I didn't know how much I needed to hear this.
To those people, you're not alone. This mic, it's always on. And this space, it's yours too. We don't need matching postcodes to build something safe. We just need honesty and a bit of courage and the promise that no one gets left outside in the dark.
That's what home really is, a soul that lets you rest without asking for a reason.
Yeah, and maybe one day I'll find that again in another person. But until then, I'll keep showing up here, turning pain into place, turning this broken little podcast booth into a home made out of hope. There's a song that just levels me every time, Stay by Sugarland. It's not just the vocals, it's the plea, that raw, stripped back vulnerability. Someone singing out the words we're all too scared to say out loud. Please don't go, please don't leave me. And I've been there, God, I've been there, not just with lovers, with friends, with family, even with myself, staring in the mirror, whispering, please don't leave me too. Because when you've been left enough times, abandoned, forgotten, walked away from, you start to believe it's just your destiny, that no one stays.
And sometimes they do stay, but only physically. Their body's in the room, but their heart's already gone. That kind of absence, it's worse than being alone, because it teaches you to stop trusting even the people who haven't left yet. You start to hold your breath waiting for the other shoe to drop. You stop opening doors because you know someone's going to walk out of them.
Yeah, and that's why the song hits so hard, because it reminds me of all the times I begged, even if I didn't say it out loud, begged someone to stay, begged someone to see me, begged myself to keep holding on just one more hour. And I think that's the part most people don't talk about. It's not just the relationships you lose, it's the versions of you that die with them, the trusting you, the soft you, the maybe this time it'll work you.
And then you rebuild, but never the same way. You get tougher, sharper, more guarded. Because staying vulnerable after you've been abandoned takes a kind of courage most people will never understand.
And that's what I want to say to anyone listening. If you've ever begged, if you've ever felt like the only one fighting for something, if you've ever whispered, please stay, into an empty room, you are not weak, you are wounded, but wounded people can still walk. Wounded people can still heal. And sometimes the person you need to beg to stay is you.
That right there, that's the pivot. Because after years of begging others to stay, you finally turned to yourself and said, I'm not going anywhere. And that's what healing looks like. Not needing someone to hold your hand to survive, but learning how to hold your own.
And don't get me wrong, I still want that connection. I still ache for the day someone holds me like they mean it and says, you don't have to beg me, I choose you, I see you. But until that day comes, I stay. For me, for this podcast, for the people listening who don't have the strength to beg anymore.
You stay for the ones too tired to ask, too afraid to hope, too broken to believe it's possible. And by staying, you remind them it is.
That's it. So if you're listening right now, curled up in your bed, feeling like it would be easier to disappear, I see you, and I'm begging you not to stay for them, not for appearances, not because of guilt. Stay for you, because you matter. You always have. And it's okay if you forgot that. This is us remembering together. So here we are, end of the episode. And honestly, I'm still feeling it, all of it. The silence, the longing, the memories that press down harder when the lights go out. But I'm also feeling something else, something I didn't expect when I sat down to record again after taking that break. Pride, not ego, not arrogance, but quiet, raw, earned pride, because I came back. I didn't run from the pain. I didn't bury it. I didn't pretend it wasn't real. I walked back into the fire with nothing but this mic and the hope that maybe, just maybe, someone out there needed to hear that you can fall apart and still keep showing up.
And that, mate, is the heartbeat of this whole thing. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be polished. You just have to stay in the fight, even if you're swinging with tired arms, even if some days the fight is just getting out of bed, even if all you can do is breathe through the panic and whisper, not today.
Yeah, because we've said it before, healing isn't linear. It's loops, spirals, 2 steps forward, 5 back, then 1 sideways into a late night mowing session. But each time you return to yourself, each time you choose truth over performance, each time you say, I'm not okay, but I'm here, you're winning. Not the kind of win with trophies, but the kind where you look at yourself and say, damn, I made it through another night.
That's it. And for the people listening right now, maybe sitting in their cars, lying in bed, walking the dog with tears in their eyes, just know, you're not alone, you are not your silence, you are not your worst day, and you are not beyond love.
You are still here, and that counts more than you know. So if you're sitting in the dark tonight, wondering if it's worth staying, let me tell you something I needed to hear when I was that little boy hiding under the blanket, crying into silence. You matter, and you are not invisible.
Say it again.
You matter, you are not invisible, and this right here, this is me still fighting, still stuttering through the storm, still telling the truth, still choosing to believe that broken people can be beacons too, because I'm not the man who gave up, I'm the man who stayed, and so are you. And before we go, if you're listening right now and you're struggling, please don't sit in silence. There are people who care. There are people who will stay. You are not a burden. You are not alone.
Here are some numbers you can call if you need support. Lifeline, 131114. Suicide, callback service, 130-065-9467. Beyond Blue, 130-224-636. Men's Line Australia 1-300-789-978. 13YARN, First Nations Crisis Support, 1392-76.
And if you're looking for real science-backed tools to help manage anxiety, depression and more, check out This Way Up. It's an Australian not-for-profit mental health service developed by leading clinicians and researchers at St Vincent's Hospital and the University of New South Wales. They offer online programs, self-paced and guided, that you can start straight from your phone or laptop. And best of all, many of them are free or Medicare subsidized if you go through your GP. I've used it myself. It helped me understand my anxiety in a new way. It gave me structure when everything in my head felt chaotic. This isn't a paid promo. It's just something that actually helped me, and I think it could help you too. Check it out at thiswayup.org.au. And if you want to reach out to me personally, even if it's just to say, hey, I listened and I get it, you can always send an email to chatwithscott@gmail.com, because reaching out for help isn't giving up, it's fighting back. And together we can find the light in the darkness.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. And I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of people talking and the wind blowing in the trees. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day. I'm gonna let the past be filled with smoke. And I will try to fix what has been broken. And take this weight off my shoulders, 'cause I know yesterday ain't coming back. I'm gonna let the past stay in the cold. I will listen to the ocean, let its unsaid words be spoken.